This video is brought to you by me, nigga. Aminé has dropped a new album titled Limbo. I liked Aminé's last 1.5 album mixtape record thing, and the one that he dropped before that, I forgot the name of it. Good For You? Maybe that was the name of it. So on that one, Sunday being one of my favorite tracks of the decade. Aminé's music just hits me on a level where, you know, it's family. I've heard other people say that, you know, this sounds like cookout music, this sounds like get-together music, but Aminé truly does exist in that realm where his music is just appropriate in most settings. Whether you're around family, whether you're trying to have a good time, his voice fits, it's smooth, he's not really trying too hard, he's a decent rapper. His Shimmy song that came out was great. So I really got no reason to believe this album isn't going to entertain me like most of his records have. So here we are, we back at it like crack in the 80s. And track number 1 is titled Burden.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Sounds like Mario's getting murdered in the background. That's smooth right there, man. It's funky. It's groovy. It's got that funk, like that funk ad-lib in the background. I love that so much. It's got so much energy. But it does, again, it sounds like, you know, Mario's in the back like busting nuts.
Black album, like Shawn Carter, screaming like I'm Rico, marching like I'm Steve O'Keen. I was surviving off of noodle cups. Shit is legal now to deal about the yellow carpet if you fuck with me. Yellow roses in the sky.
That's where I feel like that soul funk vibe is appropriate anywhere. That's like who Aminé is and how his music works for me. And having this track like that setting and that sound be the background for a track like this, I just think works so well because he's just handling it and flowing through it so smoothly. Yeah, this dude knows how to tap into everything that made him who he was when he was growing up. You definitely hear everything that he used to listen to is in the music that he makes. You can hear it just based off the first track. Track number 2 is Woodlawn.
Yellow man got himself a little jam in my fitty in Japan, cause I do this shit for Mark. Playing in my shit through the nigga RP Kobe.
Dog, I was having a good fucking day. I was having a great day. I really wasn't. The day it's been trash. Hey, it's cool, man. You know, I like all that funkadelic vibe right there, that groovy soulfulness, that little jazziness, you smooth with it. Come on, this track talking about Kobe. Why? I didn't ask you your opinion about Kobe. I wasn't thinking about Kobe.
You ain't really on. Tell all your niggas on. I tell him keep his head up and he sit up when he home. I'm finna blow it back out.
All right, then. Don't change up the flow like it's nothing. Everything I like about that track he did. Flow changes. I do think there was one portion near the midsection of the track where he could have, you know, added some reverb to his voice to make him, you know, sound way larger, way more grand and cinematic. But, you know, it was just him. I didn't really think that was that great. But for the most part, the track itself is perfect. You know, I like that track. I don't know what woodwind instrument that is. You're not going to get me today, bitch. I don't know what woodwind instrument that is. It sounds like a flute, but I feel like saying a flute is a little wrong because it sounds a little different. But having it peer through the track in and out the entire time is great. I think it's perfect. Like, that's 2 tracks where he has not missed, just like Kobe.
He died, and I feel like a lot of my innocence and like being a young person died with.
I didn't feel any of what he's talking about, like about my innocence or whatnot. Like, no, I never felt like that. But I will say, when Kobe passed, it definitely shook my core to the extent where you always feel like I've always been this very realistic individual in that anything can happen to any person at any time, but you don't really believe that sometimes until it happens. The last major death on a scale like that, I feel like, was, and I know I'm probably wrong, I'm missing someone huge in between all these years, was like Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston. Icons in their respective fields. Like Michael Jackson being the biggest artist of all time and Whitney Houston basically, in my opinion, being his rival in terms of vocal capability, even better in terms of skill. And then I see Kobe, who is basically in the same conversation as a LeBron James, as a Michael Jordan. Just go. And he was healthy. He was doing his thing. He had his final game already. He was already out of it. Nothing health related hit him. And this, if anything, it hit me even harder and got me even more sad because I'm like, well, that means I got to rush to do things to a certain degree a lot faster than normal. Because if Kobe was able to make his impact before year 40, you know, how long do other people have, I feel like. But I'm never riding a helicopter. I'm just not. I don't care how much money I make. I'm not getting on a private jet. I'm going to just sit in the house, you know, Indian style until they give us the ability to fly. And then I'll do it myself. Next track is Roots. This This definitely sounds like some 70s soul, some vintage shit.
Yeah, cell keep ticking on me like I'm 617. Eritrea, Ethiopia, Habasha, Utopia. Bitches getting cold and the sun is on me.
I think Charlie Wilson was on his Good For You album too. You can't go wrong. Like, Charlie Wilson is another cheat code feature. You can.
She likes my third eye. She loves my third leg. This my third time around. I drop gems.
That's so dope. That's fire. Putting Charlie Wilson into the track and mixing it in with like this 70s soul backdrop in a way, and almost in like and modernizing it too. It just makes the track sound so like classy, and it ages it. It's like a really nice, expensive sip of wine. And in a way, I can say this track doesn't feel nearly as, and a lot of the tracks that I've been listening to so far from this album don't sound nearly as polished and as poppy as some of the work that he would put out earlier on. Some of it that was, I feel, trying to be catchy. And don't get me wrong, it's not to say that there aren't attempts at catchiness here and clear production choices that will, you know, instantly make somebody's foot, you know, go up and down. But for me, at least, these sound way more rooted to his roots. I know that sounds stupid. It just sound way more natural for a voice like him, as opposed to him trying, I feel like trying to cater to this poppy, clean music for fraternity type. And in doing so, I just think that opens up a vast like space where you can talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about and not really put too much emphasis on like concept or ideas, and just express, you know, that's it. Track number 5 is Cant Decide.
Tell me what the fuck I'm supposed to do. You say you love me, but you don't give a clue.
This sounds like Chris Brown, low key.
The next morning, get hit in Ferrari. We petty and honey. I tell her I want it. I want it. I want it. I'm gone.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah, this sounds like a track that, you know, I could picture Chris Brown making. The cadence is really similar. I like how sexy this track feels and what it's trying to accomplish, like the setting that it's trying to create. And the strings in the background definitely help to add to that, that spiciness, that little zest in there. I feel like the tempo, you know, this track is really bouncy, and like the speed of its flow kind of add to that momentum. Like, this is a sex-driven time. It's romantic. I'm only here for a little while type shit, you know? So I like the setting that it creates. I've already heard Compensating with Young Thug. I wasn't too crazy about that track. Shimmy, y'all know I really did enjoy a lot, especially that ODB sample that he put in there as well. And the next track after that is Pressure in My Palms with slowthai and Vincent. It's been forever since I heard this man. Don't do it. Do it.
Dance, man, bombs for Derek Fisher. Caught you niggas in the
Yo, the bass on this is nuts. Pressure in my that refrain right there is great. Slowthai be going off.
Hey, the bitch you think a baby finna keep a nigga. Where every time he's
dog, the drums coming in when Vince just interrupts slowthai like that, man. That's rude. It's great though. Do it again.
Believe what daddy, he down the streets without it. I keep a bad and bougie booty on 100,000 big.
Dog, don't leave this track like this, man. Finish it.
I blow the smoke in your face. You niggas think you running shit, but running in place. I threw your ass the same way that Ye did Taylor, or how they did Janet. You wouldn't understand it.
Oh.
Too passive, I can't save you. Anticipating patience is something I can't.
Pressure in my palms. He applied that pressure on that one. That was crazy. I think the bass on this is gonna knock some speakers. They're gonna go crazy. Again, the way Vince came in and interrupted slowthai. I was enjoying the way slowthai was handling that rumbling bass at the bottom, but I guess Vince Staples had to come in and interrupt and, you know, give his verse. And everyone's performance here was great. I just wish slowthai had a little bit longer, and that time before the transition, it could have been filled up with a longer slowthai verse, and then Vince Staples could have came in and interrupted him, because that little space right there, I'm just like, bro, don't do this to me. But the transition was great, very smooth. Aminé's flow at the end was just as smooth as it was in the beginning. I love this from start to finish. They could not have disappointed me with this. Track number 9 is Riri. I've already heard that one. Again, I wasn't a big fan of Riri like that. I didn't mind it, but if someone said I want to skip this track and never fucking hear it again, I wouldn't begrudge them. Track number 10 is Easy with Summer Walker. All right, man. Walk me through. Sounds like we had a jazz play, you know? Like a live little concert for like 40 people. We eating steak dinners in the back.
we fight and you always wonder why. And my mama told me not easy, love don't come easy.
I could have done without the track. It's really predictable. It doesn't go anywhere beyond where I thought it would go. Very standard and generic. I feel R&B setting for especially Summer Walker. It's just boring. It's just a boring track. They don't say anything. Nothing creative happens in this track. It's just there, you know. And again, vocally here, he just reminds me too much of Chris Brown for me to think he stands out as his own R&B crooner. You know what I mean? So, I could do without this one. Track number 11 is Mama.
My lift before the lift, so you deserve you a cool 20 plus years at the post office. You and it's you that I'm missing. Every time I need someone you would listen.
Cool. Track about your mom, track towards your mom, appreciate your mom, love your mom. I understand it. I also love my mom. Track number 12 is Becky. Please don't be what I think this is about to be. Becky ain't never sounded like this. Oh, yeah. All right, the sound of this track, you know, immediately reminded me of like some Childish Gambino from Awaken My Love type energy. But the thing about this that really kind of rubs me the wrong way about this track specifically is just how I feel lazily is written. It's like it's a bridge. It's like two bridges and then that's it, you know, with the hook. And that's really it for me. The track about, you know, interracial relationship could have been tackled in such a, I won't say creative way, but it could have been tackled in a way that had a little bit more depth to it. This is just like people are looking at us weird because like you're black or I'm black and you're white. Like this is the one that you need to have this one on the album. Now I won't be obtuse to what's being said here. I mean, clearly we know that Aminé's parents aren't being judgmental with what they're saying, but they're just concerned parents, and the white girl in this song is kind of a metaphor for America and how dirty she's done black people historically, and in a concerned way and not a judgmental one, telling their son, stay away, we don't want you to be hurt, we don't want you in danger. Aminé even says there's a certain aspect of this lifestyle that she's blind to that he has to deal with and bear the responsibility of. So I understand the track doesn't just exist to tell you about Aminé's interracial, you know, relationship woes and how it talks about the paranoia and the history in America with black folks, but I still don't like the way it's written. I'm not going to be obtuse and act like I don't think that interracial relationships still get judged, because they definitely do. I just don't think it's enough of a point of contention to make a track about it on your album. I don't think it is, especially if you're gonna talk about it like this, as vague as this. Becky, you just wasted a track on a Becky. Like, why? Track number 13 is Fetus with Injury Reserve. Oh my, I can't see Injury Reserve's name without R.I.P. Roggs. I just can't even think about it now. Did they sample this and chop it like crazy? This sounds insane. Sounds like they taking off on a rocket ship and he's mixing a track or chopping up a track right now as he's chopping it up in the studio. The studio is in a rocket ship and it's taking off. It sounds like they're traveling through a wormhole, or like they're going from one dimension to the next. Why is everything jiggling? I like that G-Unit 50 line.
You know, 17 and delirious, they could be independent on that scare.
It's just so hard to listen to Grog's voice, dude, because he's talking about this stuff on a track with Aminé and the dude left behind a family. Like, that's crazy. And that line is crazy.
That the mamba was, but now
and that line is crazy.
What point you hang the gloves up and put your tie on.
So I get it, Fetus. And Becky kind of rolls into that track too now that, you know, I listen to it in that order. It's like, I don't even want to bring all the anxiety, basically, all the fears and the worries about bringing somebody in here. You know, you don't know if you're able to make what is sustaining you sustain another. And even if that isn't one of your biggest issues, just the state of the world that we live in, would you really want to bring somebody in here? It just feels like a fucked up thing to do. And if you already have people in here, it's like, well, I'm trying to be the best that I can be as an example while this person, my child, is watching all these other things in the world. Like, how am I to be the most important example for them to follow, especially when we have Kobe being referenced all throughout this album. Not like he's not a bad example, or not like he's a bad example to follow. It's just outside of your parents, how big of an impact, you know, that someone like a Kobe had on people he had no relation to. Someone of that same level could equally influence a child in a negative direction. So to also have those, you know, protective lenses over your child to kind of prevent them from going the wrong way, it just requires a certain level of presence in your own child's life. And especially with them talking about being rappers and whatnot, juggling all that, it's just kind of crazy. Track number 14 though is My Reality.
Niggas that I used to look up to is getting shook up too. And nigga, you don't know how weird that felt. And my fantasies looking like it's reality.
You know, I think that's a nice little callback to kind of just wrap up the album. As far as the album, you know, in its entirety, I would like to say that this is probably the most cohesive sounding record I think Aminé has released. And I think it's easily the most organic. Now, 1.5 was also a good record to me, but I think the thing that this record has that one didn't is a bit of a stronger identity. We even get, you know, tracks that kind of blend into each other, turmoil due to world events like things happening to Kobe Bryant. A little bit more of a mature perspective, like talking about how he'd like to bring a child into the world, but not really feeling like it's the appropriate time to do so or the appropriate setting. Addresses big decisions on Pressure in My Palms with two, again, I have to say, great features. The importance of staying connected to his roots on a track like Roots. I just think a lot of this album speaks more to Aminé as a person as opposed to, you know, Aminé as a rapper. Even though there are tracks here that are clearly made to get you out of your seat, to get you to dance, to get you to play them at a function, to get you to play them in a specific setting, I do think a majority of this record has the signature of who he is more than just him trying to make a good rap song, which is why I don't feel like he goes too crazy with trying so hard to hit you with these over-the-top metaphors or hitting you with anything that's too crazy. I don't think he's trying to be portrayed as or seen as the greatest punchline MC or the greatest rapper of all time. There's nothing too crazy conceptually going on this project, but it really is just a identity statement, like a here's my ID card, here's who I am now, but just more of a this is what I'm up to. And hopefully things go as planned, because as we've seen for some of our other idols, they did not. There isn't too much going on when it comes to planning on this album either. It's very in the moment. It's very focused on the present. And I like that a lot. One of the things to rid yourself of something like a depression even is to stay in the present, to stay in the moment, to stay in this space. In dealing with his present, though, he also confronts parts of his rap persona and parts of his conscience, even trying to find a healthy middle ground to live with both of them existing in the same body. But again, you can see there are certain examples where he's battling back and forth with it. And a couple critiques for the album as far as like its singing is concerned. I don't really think he's as strong of a singer or as distinct as I would need for him to explore it fully on some of the tracks as he does, especially over production that I would define as really safe and production that you could easily throw to any rapper who also sings. But yeah, for the most part, I would say I enjoyed Limbo from Aminé. I think it's a pretty good listen. I enjoyed a good portion of the tracks here, but I also could see, you know, someone looking at this and being like, you know what? It's not really doing that much. He's not talking about too much. As a rapper is concerned, he's really smooth, but I can see him blending into his production a little bit. But it sounds good. It sounds authentic. He sounds good. He's a great rapper to me. And that's kind of where I draw the line on it. I think it's a pretty good listen based on those things. He's got a lot of skills. He's got great production. I think the writing could be improved, and maybe we could tie the themes together a little bit more, coupled with some better singing, overproduction that is a little bit more creative. I think he's really got something crazy in the future. But for right now, Aminé with Limbo. That's how I'm feeling on it. I'll see y'all in the next one. You let me know how you felt about it in the comment section down below. And I'll see y'all in the next one, man. It's been me. It's been real. Peace.